So, first drafts. Can't live with them, can't live without them? Does that apply? Today is gonna be all about first drafts. I have recently finished the first draft for my upcoming book, Alexia Legends 2, the second book, obviously, in my young adult fantasy adventure series. First drafts are a heck of a task, you know what I mean? Over the last few years, I've written quite a few first drafts, and I have been tweaking and definitely not perfecting, but working on adjusting, figuring out what my best process for first drafts is. Obviously, this is gonna be different for everybody, but I wanted to share the things that helped me get through a first draft. I guess I'll also put in survival tips for the zombie apocalypse, because anyway, it's really different from drafting the first book in a world or with certain characters. Writing and drafting a book with characters that you have already established for 80,000+ words. I finished the first draft of Alexia Legends 2 in 6 months, a little under 6 months actually, which is less than half the time that it took me to write the first draft for The Delinquent Crown. I do attribute this mostly to me just having more time personally to work on it, but also just because I am learning and adjusting my process so that I can set myself up for writing better first drafts faster. Also, I did have a very clear idea of where the story was going before I even started outlining, so I think that is also something for me, being an extreme outliner, that helped me get through this draft really quickly. 6 months isn't really quickly. For me, it's very quickly. Because, as stated previously, it took me over a year to write the first draft of The Delinquent Crown, so there's that. The first big thing for me in this draft was tracking my word count. I used Excel, which was so fun. I used one Excel document for the entire book, but I broke each month also into its own little section so I could have a new chart to look at every month with whichever color I felt like goes with the month. I personally track my word count by day for this project, and I think that works really well for me. I tend to have a few smaller writing sessions. I have one big one, but then I also kind of break it up. Anyway, some people like to track by session. I like to go by day. The second thing was setting myself up for good writing days. Creating a good writing environment for me is pretty much essential to having a good writing day. Creating a good writing environment, some of the ways I set myself up for a good writing day are making sure that I'm caffeinated, eaten, my desk is clean, I'm just ready to go. Also making sure I know everything else that I have to do for the day that's not writing related, so I can keep that to the side and know that I'll have time to get to it later after I finished my writing. The other thing for me is keeping a schedule. I know I have most of my energy during the afternoons. Read, I'm not a morning person. Was that the fourth one? Oh, no, I skipped one. Number 3 is don't let ideas slow you down. We are writery people. We have ideas coming in and out of our brains all the time. Most of them are just weird and not helpful, but sometimes they stick with you a little bit. I have been I have been helping get through shiny new idea syndrome by taking the usual advice, which is just writing down your ideas and then letting them go. If I really, really get stuck to an idea, it's just kind of in the back of my mind while I'm trying to work on something, I give myself an hour. And an hour has always been more than enough time for me to exhaust a bunch of ideas that come off of that little idea that I'm just working through. Not I'm crazy, but yeah, I feel a little crazy from doing that. And I'm just working through, trying to just get it out of my head so I can get back to what I actually should be working on. Because shiny new ideas don't always tend to be the best ideas. At least for me. I don't know. Other people, maybe. Not me. My shiny new ideas are just weird. The fourth one for me is tough love. And I don't mean this in exactly the literal sense, but you'll get the idea. I didn't let myself get away with long breaks or distractions during writing this draft, which really I guess is not considered tough love. It's just trying to be a productive person, but whatever. The biggest part of that during this draft for me though is not letting myself say I'll fix that later. This is a huge crutch of mine, and it leads to me having really messy first drafts. I realized this was a problem when I started drafting this book. I'll get through something and be like, I know this scene is bad. When writing it's what has to happen in the scene, like where they are, what they're doing, but like it's just bad. And I just found myself using the crutch of I'll fix it later, or I'll ask my critique partner, my alpha readers, my beta readers, whatever, what they think about this. Absolutely not. I use that as a crutch so that I don't have to do that now, so I can keep working on something. Instead, when I get stuck on something, I either need to use brackets or I need to slow down and actually figure it out, because some of the things are actually things that I need to figure out before I can write the rest of it. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing rework, and I try to avoid rework. Although I did have one unfinished scene. Didn't finish a scene, and I left a note for myself to say, come back and adjust this later because this isn't right. The ending that I had originally planned wasn't working out. So come my first round of developmental edits, which I'm currently working on, I found an unfinished scene. I was very angry with myself. Hilarious, because my note to myself was actually, this scene's a mess, have fun with this later, bye. Drafting me is a little rude. The fifth thing that helped me survive this draft was just remembering Make It Bad. Keeping in mind that I'm a perfectionist type of person, I really get stuck on stuff sometimes. It's both things. I need to remember that, hey, try and make your draft better, but also don't get stuck. Know what I mean? And the last one is writing sprints. Timed writing sprints. Get yourself a timer, click start, and start writing, and write as much as you can. I like about 15 to 20 minute sprints. Sprints just help get through the word count for me. You see that word count building up really slowly, just go, okay, just let me see how much of this I can get through in 20 minutes. Drafting is a long process, and it is a very involved process, but it is so fun and so rewarding to get to see the story that you've either planned or that you haven't planned. For me it is when I've plotted something out and I have made an extensive outline and I have, you know, the ideas of a scene of how it's gonna go and I know what's gonna happen, but then getting to write it out and have it fully unfold and just create the scene that I've been imagining, you know. There are certain points, those core moments of the story that are such important scenes that you visualize the whole time as you're working on other scenes, right? You just get to finally get to those points. That is the most rewarding part of drafting to me, is finishing working on those scenes that I've been thinking about and tweaking in my head before I've even written them. Like that's the best part for me. I don't know. What's the best part for you guys about drafting? I'd be interested to hear. I hit some walls while drafting this book as well. We're talking like, you know, castle, barrier, wall, 6-foot thick brick. It helped during those times for me to keep in mind that is part of the process. Writing a book, drafting a book is a challenge. Drafting is quite a taxing process. It is a lot, but keeping in mind that the challenge is part of it. That is something that I like about writing. That makes it fun for me. The struggles of the first draft are part of the finished product. You gotta dig through all the mud to get some gold, right? Cheesy sayings. How many cheesy sayings can I say in one video? Yeah, that's what I got for you guys. What's your favorite part of drafting? What are your biggest challenges when drafting? What are your biggest victories when drafting? Tell me down below. I want to know. If you guys would like to read Age of the Gods, which is a free short story available on my website, sydneyfaith.com, I will leave the link down below. You can follow me on Instagram at SydFaithAuthor. And yeah, I guess that's all. So I'll see you guys later. Bye. Hey, I'm Sydney Faith. Hey, I'm Sydney Faith. I'm a Kindle author, and today I'm not doing an intro anymore. I hate this. First drafts. Yeah, let's talk about that. Good Mythical Morning. I don't remember how to do this.